This week has been Motivation Week, and it's come to the end of that week. And as you prepare for the weekend ahead, I really wanted to help you in this one last area. I know that the journey can be tough and it can be a little challenging sometimes. And one of the challenges that you may be coming up against is that your family and friends are giving you a little bit of resistance. Right? Perhaps there you are in all your healthiness, trying to push through the challenges, trying to get up on a cold morning and do your workout, and the night before prep your meals, but all you come up against is just resistance after resistance. And sometimes that can be really unmotivating. So what I wanted to do today was just to help you deal with the family and friends that are pushing against you pushing, and it's just developing a little bit of friction. In this area, I really find that there are two kinds of scenarios. You've either got momentum or you've got friction. And sometimes friction can be the very thing that pops up along the way just when we don't need it. All right, so today I want to help you deal with that. A little while ago, I had a friend / client give me a call. And she said to me, look, I'm going away on a girls' weekend, and I really need some help coming up with some comebacks. And I was like, what? She's like, I'm going away on a girls' weekend, and I need some help coming up with some comebacks because the bunch of ladies that I'm going away with, they're all going to be pulling out the wine bottles, and they're going to be eating practically the whole weekend and drinking. And I've been doing so well, and I'm really anxious about going away this weekend because, they're going to give me crap. All right, and I really need some comebacks to be able to prove to them that what I'm doing is good, and prove to them that they should be doing this with me, if anything. And so, when I was having this conversation with her, I said to her, look, I'm going to help you with some comebacks, but first let's address where it is that your head is at. And you know what? This was a really easy place for me to come from because I've totally been there multiple times. When you are on your health journey, you really are going against the grain, and sometimes it's tough to be swimming against the current. And when you are the minority in a situation and everyone else is doing what they're doing, but then there you come in all your healthiness and you are the minority, sometimes it's hard to be the one that sticks out, to be the one that doesn't order wine when everyone else is. Sometimes it's difficult for you to be not eating cheese and crackers and dip and chips and popcorn and everything else while everyone else is and you're not. Sometimes it's hard to be that person. But you know what? On this journey, there are tons of benefits as well. And as long as you are failing to see the benefits and all you are seeing is drawbacks, it's going to continue to contribute to your motivation. So one aspect of the conversation that I had with this friend of mine was to put yourself in their position. Okay, so I asked her, put yourself in their position. And when you are standing around the table, when everyone's pouring glasses of wine and you're not having a wine and you're having a glass of sparkling water, or something else, or maybe you're only having half a glass of wine, right? What is it that they are thinking? What is it that you would be thinking if you were with the majority and you were observing the minority? What is it that you would really be thinking? All right, would you be thinking, oh my gosh, what the hell is she doing? Not just another, is she doing one of those diets again? That is perhaps a thought. But then what would the second thought be? All right. Usually what I've experienced and what I've seen is that the majority are also not entirely happy with where they are at and with their health, where they are at with the way that they are feeling. And so when they come up against you, and they see you there with your half a glass of wine, or they see you there with your sparkling water, it really can be quite confrontational, right? It really can be quite confrontational, and that person may be thinking, that is really what I should be doing. I've been trying to get healthy, and I should be having only half of a glass of wine. I shouldn't really be drinking this whole weekend. But it can be so confronting, and that person may have already decided that this was going to be a big weekend. Perhaps they had quite a stressful week with work. Perhaps they had quite a stressful week with kids. Perhaps they had quite a stressful week in general about anything. And this was the week where they were going to escape and switch off. All right, they were going to ignore their health journey, and they were going to just let loose. And there you come and remind them of what it was that they had committed to, and that can be quite confrontational. So in situations like that can come up quite often, really you got to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, what is it that I would really be thinking if I was in their position? And what that does is it helps you come from more of a place of compassion. And that's really the deal when it comes to our family and friends. It's about the place that you are coming from. And if you were always coming from a place of love and compassion, then what you'll find is that not only will you be able to come up against least resistance, not only will you find that there will be less friction, but you can actually start to develop your own momentum, all right, your own momentum. And that's really important on this journey. There are two things today that when I was preparing for the message this morning, there are two things that I really thought about that I thought would be able to really help you on your health journey this morning when it comes to the relationships that you have with the people around you, and also with the relationships that you have with the people who are closest to you, which in reality can tend to be the people who really give you the most crap. Sometimes it can be the people who live in our own house, our own husbands, our own wives, our own kids, right? Our best friends that can be the ones who are giving us the most resistance rather than giving us support. One of the things that we can get in our minds is that when we start our health journey, we think that we're going to get support from everywhere, all right? That, because you are doing something good for you, because that you are doing something that is, because you have finally decided to improve your life all round, right? Which always happens when you get healthy. When you expect that everyone around you is going to support you, but most especially the people who are closest to you, right? And it can be quite confrontational for you when you realize that that is not the case. And usually it are the people that are the closest to us that are giving us resistance. I remember when I decided that I was going to start running. You know how many people told me that it was going to be bad for my knees? The people who were closest to me told me that it was going to be bad for my knees. I already hated running. I didn't need any more negative resistance to give me more fuel to not run. So this is something that comes up quite often. So here are a couple of things. The first one is be persistent, not pushy. Now this may be something that is quite commonsensical, but sometimes what is common sense is often not very common. So if you look at the reasons why you may be coming up against resistance with your family and friends, thinking about what it's like from their perspective, like I mentioned before, might help. So that same way of thinking is going to help in this scenario with looking at the way that you are acting and the way that you are being around your family and friends. Are you being pushy or are you being persistent? When it comes to those two actions, it makes a huge difference. When you think about what's going on in their situation, a lot of the issues can come up when you are coming up against resistance is coming from fear. Okay, the underlying thing there is really coming from fear. It can bring up a lot of issues that they have experienced in the past. Like for them, they may have tried so many times to address their health, and then when you come and you start talking to them and start trying to convince them to come on board with you on your health journey, to join you, to come to the gym with you, to eat the same things as you, or when you are constantly in their face about it, it can start to actually bring up things that they may not be ready to address, that have been in the past. They have come from experiences in the past like shame and guilt, which are quite common feelings when the expectation that people have for themselves has not been met. All right, I find that super common for women, especially for women, because women and especially mothers tend to have quite high standards for themselves. And when I say high standards, like I mean almost ridiculous standards, like, this whole perfection thing going on. And in their past journey, perhaps they didn't have the right support. Perhaps they didn't have the right accountability. Perhaps there were a lot of things that weren't right about their previous experience, and they've carried that with them. There can be a lot of guilt and shame that comes up. Also, another thing that can trigger a lot of fear is the whole identity thing. Someone may not know who they really are. And so when they see you and you're going through these changes and you're changing and you're acting a little different than how you would normally act, some of those things can come up for them that might, where they might think that they're losing their friend or losing their partner or losing the same connection that you were providing for them in the relationship. All right, and that can be that can cause quite a lot of fear, more on a subconscious level, but it is quite a real one. Perhaps the way that you would catch up with these people or with this person, or perhaps your downtime or your wind down time at the end of the day that you would spend with your partner, perhaps having a glass of wine. Maybe that was your thing that you did together. Maybe when you caught up with your friends at a cafe and you ordered muffins and a coffee together, maybe that was your thing, and there you are disrupting it. So you really do have to be quite compassionate and to the role that you played in the relationship, and now you're turning that up, and it can cause a little bit of an identity crisis for your friend or for your partner or for the people who are closest to you. So what you can do, instead of being pushy, be persistent and just keep doing what you're doing, right? Just keep doing what you're doing, and ask for hugs when it's been a hard week. Ask for them to contribute to your meal planning that week. Ask for them when you have been really stressed out and it's been hard. Tell them that it's been hard, and then ask them if they can give you any support. All right. So instead of trying to pull them over to your side, really ask them to be the friend that they are, be the spouse or the partner that they are, and ask them for a little bit of encouragement rather than pushing. Just keep being you. That's real important. Just do you is the second one, okay? Just keep being you. The reason why I say that is because, perhaps this time in your health journey, you've really considered what is intrinsically motivating for you. Perhaps in this journey this time, you've really considered what it is that's super important for you to accomplish in your life on this health journey. All right, perhaps what you've done is you've actually made the connection as to how the quality of life within your family is really going to be improved as a result of you getting healthier. Perhaps this time the connection that you've made is that it really is so much better for the goals that you have within your job, within your work, within your business, to be that the goals that you have set in your life there are far more achievable when you are operating at a higher standard, when you have more energy, when you have a better, I don't want to use the word aura, but when you are feeling healthy, you just are better, right? Everything that you do is just coming from a different place, coming from you're more alert. And perhaps the connection that you've made is that work is suffering, your business is suffering, or your job is suffering because of the way that you are treating your body. And so what you may not realize that you have done is that this time, perhaps the reasons for you sticking to your journey are because those other things are important to you as well. Perhaps in the past, when you've just set goals that are a bit more superficial, they haven't been as motivating. And what can happen with your friends and your family is that they just haven't had time to make those connections yet. They haven't had time to think about how it really is intrinsically going to motivate them, as opposed to the external things that they've looked at in the past. So really just keep being you, just keep going along with your journey. surround yourself with people who are also on the journey. Reach out for a health coach, or reach out for some, listening to the periscopes. Really surrounding yourself with people who are on board the same thing as you really does help. But then just keep being you with the people around you, the closest people to you, your family and friends, because they really need to see the example that you're setting rather than hearing you preach about it. It's I don't know what it's like for you guys, but for me, I'm much more inspired by what I see people doing rather than what I hear people saying. All right, so that I hope that is that you've got some value from this today. I hope this has really helped you see things from a different perspective, and really this is an opportunity for you to take a bit of a leadership role with your family and friends. I know that it's difficult to swim against the current and to go against the grain. I know that can be challenging, but health is one of those things where you have the ability to influence people around you rather than forcing it upon them. Show them what it looks like to be healthy. Show them the benefits of having a good life, of having good relationships, of the benefits rather than the drawbacks. All right, so that's the message for today. I really hope that you got some value from that. If you did, feel free to share. The way that you do that is by swiping up and swiping across the screen. That's going to give you the opportunity to share to your other Periscope followers, or to share using social media like Facebook. So that's it for this week. This week has been Motivation Week. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you are feeling motivated. We've covered quite a few different scenarios. I'll be back next week on Monday morning. Monday to Thursday is when we Periscope, 8 a.m. Once I do reach 250 followers, then we'll start to implement Free Coaching Friday, which is going to be a platform for you guys to be able to ask questions in real time. Also, feel free to contact me if you need questions asked about any of the topics I talk about. You can reach me through my website, generationhealth.co.nz. All right, guys, have a great weekend. See you later.